Aim like you can't hear me. Stop trolling me, Lorenzo.
No, I feel terrible. I
I'm a
feel
delicate
horrible.
flower.
I know. I've seen
I can't take this. I can't take this teasing,
no.
this trolling constantly
You're
from you.
you're the one that least deserves it too. So I was feeling bad. I even to tell you the truth, I didn't wake up till, like when I messaged you, I missed my psychiatrist appointment, so I'm like, "Oh, rats."
Oh,
Yeah. There we go again cuz I missed it like the week before too. But
from
I'm gonna tell
oversleeping?
Yeah, yeah. I've been all my medications been making me very tired. That and I was up late, watching a movie with my niece because I was.
What'd you watch?
Have you ever seen the movie Heavenly Creatures?
I've never seen it, but that's a Peter Jackson directed movie with Nicole Kidman from back in the day.
No, actually, Kate Winslet,
What did I say?
Nicole Kidman.
Oh, okay. Kate Winslet.
Yeah, it was her
Kate
first movie.
Winslet.
Hmm
Oh, okay. I think my
And
co-host loves that movie. He's a big fan of that.
yeah, it's a pretty fucked up movie, and it's actually a true story.
And is it
And
Peter Jackson? Did I get that wrong too?
no, it's Peter Jackson. You're right.
Okay.
Very New Zealandish, and yeah, I remember showing it to my niece when she was like 10 or 11, and I probably shouldn't have shown it to her because the end where it's like the murder scene with the mother, it's not very graphic, but it's very realistically done.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You know where they kind of just let your imagination take control. It's
But you
pretty
could
fun.
hear it. Could you hear it? I'm assuming a knife was involved. I don't know if that. Could you hear the
No,
knife penetrating flesh?
is
A
actually
squelching sound.
a brick in a stocking that they hit her with.
Oh, so okay, blunt force.
Yeah, so you could hear the thud,
A thud. Okay.
and then like the mother, like screaming, like like when you get like if you were to ever get hit in the back of the head, where you'd feel like you're gonna throw up or something.
Guttural sounds.
And it
Death
gets
rattles.
there are terms for this.
I think so. Probably.
Well, everyone, welcome my guest from the Insufferable Bastard podcast, Carlos Danger. I
Hi,
believe
Lorenzo.
that.
I'm very happy
Hey,
to be here. I've been looking forward to this all week.
no, yeah, I was writing up the questions all day yesterday, and I'm like, he's a
Oh,
cool
wow. You didn't have
cat.
to do that. I like your stream, man. I like stopping in your stream when you're just live streaming and just hanging out. I like your community. I like the people in your chat. A lot of times I lurk, but I like the whole vibe. You know what I mean? I don't think I like podcasts that are just, I don't know. I guess we're not supposed to like podcasts where it's just somebody talking and it's just like people hanging out. That's supposed to be like I don't know. That's my type of podcast. So,
Yeah,
and
no, I hear.
YouTube gets kind of snooty, you know? And all
In
these
what way?
podcasts judging each other about how they look and what their background is and what type of camera lens they're using.
No, see, that's where I get
Fuck
like,
all that.
yeah, where everyone's so like they build these beefs or these battles with each other just to like, I don't know, get more viewers or oh, what are they gonna talk about next when they're talking shit. But yeah, I really don't like if anyone was to ever not like me, I'd be like, okay, just don't listen,
Right. There's
like.
so much out there. I mean, I'm a drama. I love the drama of the bigger podcast. I'm definitely
Mhm.
invested in all that toxic stuff. But I mean, the whole concept of podcasts, I don't know. It's YouTube, man. It's people powered media. Like sometimes I get this feeling from some of the podcasts I'm seeing, like maybe the mid tier ones in the world that I'm watching, they'll start like making fun of each other, like I said, for like a background or equipment or a microphone, the whole aesthetic thing. And I'm just like, well, what do you want? You want everything to be late night with Jimmy Fallon? Because if you follow that critique, that logic to its conclusion, you know, we're all going to become what? The only thing you'll accept is Jimmy Fallon, like NBC, well produced, professionally produced shit. The whole concept of
Yeah.
YouTube is that it's supposed to be anybody with a mic can do this. That's the way it should be. That's
Mhm.
American. I'm sorry.
It
You
is
know what I mean?
American. Yeah, like in my mic here is like a $50 mic. I'm glad it sounds like pretty decent.
Right.
But yeah, you could only invest where you can. You try to, do better to your own, I would say to your own measurement. Like
Exactly.
if you like it, if you like the way it sounds, you like the way it looks, then that's enough. It shouldn't matter to the public, where it's like, oh, well, your mic sounds not as good, or your camera's bad. It's like, well, then buy me one, if you want me to change something up. But
Yeah, I don't. I hate the aesthetic. It reminds me of like sixth grade. Like when I was in sixth grade, like Guess jeans were big, and kids would make fun of each other if somebody wasn't wearing Guess jeans. It's like fuck all that, man.
So as know you're typically on your podcast, it's several bastards with your co-host friend who's like, is he the one with the makeup?
Yeah,
He does
Brian
the makeup.
Spears. We grew up together in New York. He's really my only friend. I mean, unless I count my online friends now. But yeah, he's a special effects makeup artist. His IMDb is huge. He's worked on like American Horror Story, that movie Smile that came out.
Oh
Orange
yeah.
is the
Oh.
Orange is the New Black. All the Netflix Marvel shows when they were on Netflix, like The Punisher and Jessica Jones, Daredevil. I guess his latest one that just came out, there was a sequel to, I think it's called Becky. It was like it's another horror movie. So he's done a lot of that,
Hmm.
and he's been doing that his whole life. So he's my podcast buddy.
And what do you all typically talk about on your show? It's like
You, no, we
me.
so we started right. Like he's always been a horror guy, and like I said, we grew up together. So like the early '90s when we were in high school, we would go to horror movie conventions in New York City. Fangoria magazine used to sponsor Fangoria Weekend of Horrors. And you could go there, and in those days, autographs were free. It was all about promoting new horror. Like we saw Sam Raimi, Vincent Price, all
Man.
kinds of stuff. Lance Henriksen, right from back in the day. And so because he was always interested in gore makeup specifically, and Fangoria magazine was like the Bible. So anyway, we remained friends forever. And then we met a third guy, this guy Joe Greenberg, at a horror convention probably 10 years ago. And at horror conventions, you would just talk about horror movies. So Joe's idea was to start a horror movie podcast. And we did that for a while. And in that time period, that was about 2016, let's say, we would talk about horror movies and then occasionally Howard Stern stuff because Brian and I are old school Howard Stern fans. Joe, actually, a screenwriter, because he was a screenwriter, sold a screenplay. He won something called, or his script was on the Blacklist, which is an annual compilation of the best unproduced screenplays in Hollywood. So he won a screenwriting contest. His screenplay was put on the Blacklist. He got representation. He sold the script to a major motion picture studio, and but he hated me. He hated my guts. So he left the podcast, right? And then
Okay.
Brian and I sort of we got sick of talking about horror movies, and about 2 years ago we rebranded and just changed the name to Insufferable Bastards because it was a better reflection about what we are, because we tend not to like most movies.
Well, yeah, if you're talking about like recent movies have gone to shit. It's kind of like
Yeah,
the recent wrestling. Like people are making these big studios just want to make content to put on the screen or to fill the void. They don't want to really produce anything good, or they want to remake
yeah, it's gotten
something from the
so
past.
bad. Yeah, I mean, the Marvel movies, I think, are the perfect example of all that. Like, yeah, it used to be okay. There were popcorn movies. Like growing up, there was always summer movies, and they were mindless. But this whole idea that movies are just an extended commercial for the next movie or the next TV show is just the most soulless crap you can do. And I've stopped watching movies for the most part. I mean, I get more for the last year. Our podcast has been more invested in talking about, whether it be Stuttering John or Shuli and what Shuli is up to, Misery Loves Company and all that kind of stuff. And then like meeting you and meeting Cardiff Electric and El Horrible, Obnoxious John. Our podcast sort of for the last year has morphed into that kind of stuff only because I find now YouTube, specifically like the old man section of YouTube, more compelling than anything being produced in theaters these days, which is weird. So I don't know, we're sort of like a podcast without a point at this point in our lives. But who cares though? Like we just talk about what interests us, right? Like we don't. So what? We don't have a mission statement. We're not making any money off it. We're not monetized. You know, if we get 100 views, we're happy, and I get to hang out with my buddy once a week.
Yeah, and
online.
It's what you want to talk about. You know, like you actually are interested in it. It's not like, oh, let's watch the latest film and tell you what we think about it. You know what I mean? Like,
and we're gonna hate it. Like that's what we got to the point where, and I think that's why I love Kevin Brennan. I don't know if you watch Misery Loves Company at all, but Kevin Brennan is perhaps the world's most toxic comedian. Like he's gone through 100 co-hosts, and I just love him because there's something I identify with in him. First of all, he's very funny. But he's like the type of guy who's bitter and gets angry at what's popular a lot because he likes something a specific way, but it seems like the rest of the planet doesn't. And I think I identify with that. You know what I mean? I'm always wondering, like, why is this why is this movie podcast popular? They're just talking about fucking Marvel movies nonstop and comic book shit. Like, why is the whole internet? Why does that have 1 million views? And then my shitty podcast has 12. Not fair.
No, I could definitely relate to that bitterness where I'm like, what? Why are y'all watching some guy just eat old food? You know, like eating snacks from the 90s, and then he
Why
like
is that a thing?
he like vomits or something while eating, and that's, I guess, the appeal where it's just like, oh, this dude's vomiting, he's suffering. You know, like it's, I don't know, and then it gets millions of watchers, and then you're like, what the fuck? Like, I think I'm just as entertaining without the sick type of shit that you're watching. You know, that sick fetish shit.
Right. Yeah. And I guess like part of our podcast journey, for lack of a better term, is just the realization that like, oh, wait a second, our opinions are definitely in the minority on everything. You know, you judge by as judging. I mean, we didn't do YouTube for a long time because I'm not comfortable on camera. Like I know what I look like. So we would just do audio only, and you know, maybe we'd get a dozen listeners. And then when we switched to YouTube, it was nice. You know, the narcissist in me likes getting some attention, but you know, then realizing that your opinions are hated by most people, that's quite talk about like ice water being dumped on you. I don't know, but
Yeah, but sometimes it's not a bad feeling to get ice water dumped on you. You know what I mean?
it does. I do feel like, yeah, learning to deal with like anonymous online criticism does build character. Even as old as I am, I do sort of enjoy it now. If somebody says I suck, or sometimes like sometimes there'll be a statement that's like really vicious, and it hurts. And I'll go and like click on the comment to check out the person's profile. And what I've noticed, like this has happened like 3 times, but of course now in my head, I've built this up to symbolize or represent all people that say horrible things about me or my podcast or the guy who does my podcast with me. They'll have like, you'll go to their profile and it's like, they'll have Bible study videos. It's them reading the Bible. And it's like, you just said the most vicious shit to me, man.
Dude, that's
And then,
so
or their
weird.
community will just be all this Bible stuff, or like, and then, or it's political. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're just a psycho, and your negative energy you threw at me in that comment probably prevented you from beating your child or killing your dog. So I feel like even when people say we suck, there's a greater purpose. There's a higher purpose to it.
Yeah, it's someone to vent all their energy to, instead of them like going and shooting their local town square up or something.
Exactly.
Well, we do serve a purpose then, I guess.
And like Lorenzo, I came across you. I mean, the first time I ever met you, I had heard, okay, WATP did an episode about Lorenzo Arreola. But I didn't. I listened to WATP, but what I often do is, if it's a podcast I'm not familiar with that they're critiquing in that first 30 minutes, I skip because I wanted to hear like the Stuttering John, their takes on Stuttering John, their takes on Chad Zumach. So I just knew you had been featured. And I was supposed to have Cardiff on around Christmas, right? We were doing like the best of the year in movies or something like that. And then you dropped in. Cardiff had just given you the link, and you dropped into our stream. And I thought it was wonderful. But I want to ask you, did you, because I WATP also shit on my podcast at one point, but just
Yeah.
briefly, we avoided like a 30-minute segment. And you've probably answered this 100 times, but how did you handle that? Did it hurt? Because I was hurt, and it took me like a week to figure, not really a week, but I was like, I recorded so many responses and then deleted, record, delete. So how did you take it?
No, I thought it was hilarious because they just added on like punchlines to my already like fucked up life, you know. It's like they just exaggerated it more by like talking about certain dialogue pieces that were out of context, but you can't really hold my stories in context because like that same episode I could talk about my mom, I could talk about a crow, I could talk about me hitting on my or being with my cousin or whatever. So there
Right?
really is, yeah, there was really like no
Lorenzo's
context.
greatest hits.
Yeah. And when I heard about it, I had never heard about who are these podcasts. Like I think all I listen to is like wrestling podcasts, Jim Cornette, and
Mm.
what else? Some other one, Hello Dysfunction, which that one of my guests, that Patafria, that tattooed up girl, she's
Oh,
part of
sure.
that. She's part of that podcast. So that's how I've gotten to know her. I as a big fan.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't even know this podcast existed. But when they did a whole like it was long. It was like 30, 45 minutes on me. And I thought it was hilarious. I was like, man, this is hilarious. And then it got me a big ass boom in my listeners because I guess they were trying to talk shit, but they just made it funnier, you know, or
And
some
your
people.
reactions seem to touch a nerve. I mean, I don't like. I'm not a WATP devotee, so I'm just. This is my interpretation, so it could be wrong. But it seemed like your reaction uh, made you endeared you to the WATP hardcore listeners. Like they automatically liked you, which
Yeah.
was I guess especially because all right. So Cardiff, he didn't know you until WATP, or was he involved with you before your WATP
No,
appearance,
no.
for lack of a better word?
I hadn't really met any one of y'all before after
Okay.
that thing, and then yeah, everyone just started like, you know, like my listeners blew up, and people just started, I don't know, just following the podcast because I had like a lot of listens after that. And it was like I said, it was, I could take a joke like if they meant to be insulting, like if that was their point at the moment, I thought it was funny, you know, like
Yeah, and how important? I know, obviously, like the whole point of your podcast, or a big point, is you talking about mental health. Correct?
yeah, yeah, because
How much does, because I find, like, I mean, this has been a shitty week for me, man. The last like couple of months have been shitty, but in like personally, but just like normal stuff that happens as you get older. And I do find like laughing, like just like sitting down to one of these El Harible or Cardiff, and just having like one belly laugh a day really helps. Now, but I'm not, I'm not on medication, so I'm like, I'm just light. But I'm just wondering, you as somebody who has mental health issues, how much does laughter help, if at all, or am I just being a fucking rube, thinking
no,
it
no,
makes any
no.
difference?
I feel like it does, but I don't know. It feels like I'm at the point where I laugh at like the strangest things instead of what's supposed to be funny, you know? Because I could definitely like be on like with you and Ray DeVito, and of course like Ray DeVito's trying to be funny in his like by the book sort of way, and I'll be there like talking about Richard Simmons over and over again, and to me that's funny.
Yeah.
Like beating a dead horse, like where everyone's like, why does he keep talking about him? And that's when I
That
would
was
start.
me. I'm the third guy. I'm like, what is? Though that's funny you bring that up. The Ray DeVito one that really scared me when you were on it, and you probably don't even remember. Well, no, maybe you will remember. It was me, you, and Ray, obviously, and the guy nobody likes onions. Patrick Melton is this very funny but pretty vicious podcaster. And so he was in the chat, and I got really self-conscious that he was there because I'm not a comedian. I don't even, this is something I do on Saturdays. You know what I mean? Like I know what I am. I'm not this. I have a day job and all that crap. So I was self-conscious that he was there. Ray was talking about whatever. I think Ray might have had a couple of beers in him. And I don't even know what the exact subject was, but I guess OJ, Obnoxious John, was in our chat telling you to sing shit from The Lion King. So maybe Stevie Lou was on too. Maybe they were arguing, and then Ray and Stevie Lou were getting into some type of argument, and you just started singing. And at that moment, it was hilarious, but I was terrified because it was such a train wreck. I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to be on Patrick Melton's streams tomorrow. He's going to be focusing on my zits and my red face as Lorenzo's singing and these two psychos are arguing with each other. I don't know. So anyway, it was like a living nightmare. And it was because of your singing, because that just pushed me over the edge. And I think I left. I actually ended up leaving. Because I was just like freaked out. So I appreciate that, Lorenzo. See, I've been wanting to talk to you. I'm just venting on you because I do like you.
I didn't even mean to, cause all that. It's just
You're
I do
just
like
being
singing.
you, man.
Yeah, I'm really just being me. Like I said, if I was invited and if he were to tell me like, hey, don't be singing, okay, no problem, it's your show. But I'm gonna.
Ray has no real rules. I mean, Ray's like, he gets uncomfortable when you. It's easy to make Ray uncomfortable, but yeah, he's okay if he loves it. I mean, you guys are good together. I've been like on Ray's show, like, I don't know, like 20 times at this point. I feel like Ray needs a break from me probably at this point, but I like you and Ray together because Ray feeds off your energy where I get kind of stiff. But
no, it's always fun, like being invited. I guess that's what I say. But yeah, if you cut me loose, I'm gonna cut loose. I'm not gonna. I'm like learning the YouTube thing and stuff like that now. What not words to say, because
that's
YouTube
true.
picks up on certain things.
Yeah, and I do get worried as sometimes. I do a lot of podcasts, but I also don't do a lot of podcasts because there's a worry if I'm on a podcast and the other guy says something, whatever, in a joking manner that's misinterpreted, or it's not something you're not supposed to joke about. Like, yeah, I don't want to lose my job and lose the ability to put food on my table because of some fucking joke. You know what I mean? So I do get really nervous about that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, I try to weigh out the if it's worth it type deal, and it's like, nah, like, and again, I'm learning because the first few stuff I've done, I'll be like, talking about, I don't know, like pedophiles, but like in more detail, like really, you thought this, you were gonna do this, and then really
Getting
going
into graphic details.
yeah,
It can be
about it, and it's like, nah, it's not worth it. Like there are a million other ways I can do a joke or whatever without having to like resort to something that YouTube's gonna be like, what? We're picking up all these keywords.
Yeah, even allegedly, the word somehow you can't. I don't know how true that is, but
yeah.
I did a thing, Lorenzo. Like, my background is newspapers as a reporter at small time reporting, and I did a thing where I was embedded with two probation officers, and they went around and it was sex offenders. So it was all the kitty touchers visiting them in their homes, and it was in Yonkers, New York, and it was fascinating because these are, I mean, I guess we can't get into it because we're on YouTube, but yeah, seeing these guys' perversions and then meeting them and seeing where they live and how it was the spectrum of humanity, but they all had this one conviction in common. So it was quite an experience. I haven't thought about that in years,
No, and I've
and I'm not
like
explaining it well.
well, you're trying to beat around you could bluntly explain it, and then it would like maybe be some of the bad words. I know.
But
I
even
went to
trying to
high school.
explain it, because I can't put into words why I was fascinated by it. I guess it was like watching human train wreck or human car wrecks. I guess that's what was appealing about it.
Oh, that's always fun. I like even me. I've had two friends from high school. Well, they used to be friends like in high school or and younger, but now they're older. But they both I heard from like the grapevine that they had both got picked up for like child porn on their computers,
Jesus.
like a shit ton of like a shit ton, like when they always seem to have like the hub where like they're the next server, where they
Right.
have gigatons or whatever fucking it of it. And I was like, "Oh, I know that guy. Oh, I know that guy." And it was just crazy cuz we start thinking like me and my buddy who does all my art retro ring because we went to school there in Uvalde, how it's like, oh yeah, we could see that, like we could see them being
It
a
makes
pedo.
sense. Yeah, like, and
it,
then like my thing, like meeting these guys, like you have you want to kill them because the probation officer tells you, and then just watching the probation officers deal with these guys, because the probation officer's job was to make sure they're walking that line, because obviously their view was it's incurable. So meeting a person, wanting to kill them, walking into their room, and then like seeing them operate as normal humans, just it's just mind blowing, just weird. I don't know, maybe I don't how do we get talking about this? I'm sorry,
I don't
Lorenzo.
I don't know if I'd want to kill someone that I didn't know that person. They'd have to personally hurt me, like as far as dealing with the
Hmm.
strangers like that. Like, let's say they were to like, mess with my nieces or something. Yeah, I'd kill them. I'd strangle them or whatever words I
That
can
takes
say
like
on here.
7 minutes. Strangling, that's like that's the toughest,
Yeah,
allegedly.
yeah, but you'd want to feel like every minute of it, like you
Sure.
know doing that because it's personal, at that point. But that's the way I would do it, or
That
get
laugh
one of
was
the.
everything.
I'm all right. Take. I've always wanted to buy a little bat like the Sting from
I'm not a wrestling
WCW.
guy. I know Bob
Okay,
Backlund from 1982. I apologize.
I would buy like the baseball games, those novelty bats that are
The mini
like,
bats,
yeah,
sure. I have one
I would
upstairs. Yeah.
I'd want one of those and just beat the crap out of like someone with it, with a mini bat. I feel like that would be sufficient enough to get my revenge.
Take a while. Yeah. The images that are going through my head right now. Happy Friday. It's a beautiful day. Talking about perversion and murder.
I'm about to say, let's see here.
Ray DeVito. Ray DeVito.
Are you close to your parents?
My mom passed away about 2 years ago. My father's currently hospitalized. He's 85 years old.
Okay. I was like, if you were close to him, man, pretty
Yeah, no,
gay.
I think I had a perfectly boring, decent uh, relationship with my parents. I mean, I'm the youngest of five brothers. It's an Irish Catholic family. Irish Catholics from the Bronx, New York. They love from a distance. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't, I never went out and had a beer with my dad or anything like that. It was very much father-son relationship, kind of a formal, but yeah, I got no complaints about my parents.
No, that's good. I didn't want to hear like, oh yeah, we he would kiss me on the lips like Tom Brady in those videos, because
No,
I
I
just
don't. No, my father. I don't think I've ever kissed my father, even on the
yeah, I don't
cheek.
yeah, I don't think any parent should kiss their kid on the lips. Like, it's just fucking straight. Even in any culture, at any time, like, why would you want to kiss your child on the lips? Like, The cheek, I think, is sufficient. The forehead, perfect spot. It's a big spot there to kiss. Why are you gonna
Yeah.
go for the
Yeah,
neck?
I can't. I'm trying to see like the devil's advocate argument, but honestly, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah,
I
they're
think you're right.
just there's so much other area, and then you want to like taste the saliva of your own child. It's just,
I don't
I
know if
don't
that's
know.
the intent, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
but all that happens. It
I want to
does.
say to each his own because that's my nature, but no, you're right.
Yeah, it's very. I don't know. I would say it's like a white people thing, but I'm pretty sure every I'm pretty sure
Oh,
every
why
race
is it a
does
white
it.
people thing?
I don't know, just because I saw Tom Brady doing it on the
But he's the whitest man alive. He represents.
yeah
Okay,
yeah, but I think
Tom Brady.
that's more of a rich man thing at that point where it's like, oh, I'm rich, I can do whatever the fuck I want on camera, and then he's like the best, from what I've heard about football, he's like the goat, so
I also don't watch football, but yeah, he's. I guess he's the greatest.
yeah, so
And I'm
it's
in New
like,
England. Like he's definitely popular around these parts where I am.
so if I'm gonna kiss my son on the lips, you better fucking let me do it. I don't know, that's how I feel. uh I don't know if you want to answer this. It's up to you. Do you own any sort of guns?
No,
Okay, yeah,
no,
I
I
don't
was.
know.
My father was a New York City police officer from like 1961 to 1981, and he was of the belief that bad guys have guns and that gun nuts are wackos. There was a gun in my house growing up. His off-duty 38 was always around, but in that era, being raised by a New York City police officer, I got the vibe from him. The only people that have guns are people who want to kill my father. So I never really, I could probably use one for home defense where I live, but no, I
Hmm.
don't have any. I don't own a gun.
No, yeah, and I always think that too. Like you said, gun nuts. Like there, people. I could get owning one gun, and that's like for security. Whether it's like a pistol, your basic pistol, or like
Like a
a,
shotgun.
sh-
They
a
they say shotgun
shotgun.
is a good one to have for home
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah, I hear you could buy like a youth shotgun, like a kid's shotgun, and that would be good for home defense because it's got the shorter barrel, easier to go around corners in your home.
And if you shoot it and miss, you're not going to take out your entire family, which I guess is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
yeah. And then
exactly.
again, it's like I mean, there are people that are the sportsmen and all that, and the people that are into guns and not crazy. I realize that the views I had growing up aren't the same I have now regarding gun nuts. Like I don't think anybody who owns a gun is insane, of course, but moderation, right, Lorenzo? Everything's in moderation.
Yeah, I could see people owning one gun, a few guns, just in case. But I remember I was
I
working.
don't think anybody's coming to take away our guns, which always
Oh
seems to be a
yeah,
thing. Every presidential election, they're coming to take away our guns. I don't think that's happening. I think that is just a ploy to sell more guns.
no, I remember at my grocery store, this guy asked me, and he's just as big as me, like real tubby. He asked me, "Hey, you own a gun?" I'm like, "Nah." He's like, "I own 45 of them,"
Just
and
out of
I'm
the
like,
blue.
"Yeah, yeah." I don't know what someone else was talking about guns, and then he asked me to like maybe get some sort of like, "Hell yeah, I own 3 of them," and then to like tell me, "Oh, I own 45." And I'm just like, he's a big chunky dude. I'm like, how are you gonna get up like quick if you are in like the heat of the battle and go grab like however many guns, like I don't know. I don't see that you need at that point you need to grow more arms, you
That's
know?
true, and I do think, Lorenzo. I'm 49. I don't know how old you are, but I sometimes I think of people my age. It's like we grew up with Rambo and the M60 and like Dirty Harry watching with its 44 caliber. It could blow a person's head clean off. Like we internalized that, and then it's like as we guns are like our toys. We didn't. Maybe some of us didn't mature, and it's like it's nice to have those things around. I guess I sort of get that. But
I
I
could
had a
sort of
thing up
yeah.
here where like there was something called soup stock. It's hippie jam band music and all these different soups. and this person contacted me because I guess the person wanted to open carry a gun into soup stock and was all angry because I guess the like the head hippie said, "Hey man, you can't bring your open carry weapon in here." And like they wanted me to get angry for them, and I'm just like, or outraged, and I'm just like, well, why you got to bring a gun to soup stock, man? Like, what's the need? Okay, maybe it's your right, and maybe you're doing it as a principle because of the Second Amendment. But do you really need to open carry in fucking soup stock, dude?
Yeah, do you feel that threatened at all times?
Right? Or you
That
just want
you
to
need
walk in
to.
there and shit? Like, what is that about? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, there. I don't know. I see the good in that sometimes, but I'm not a gun fan. Yeah, like you said, I don't care if people get their guns taken away or not. They're gonna find a way to have their guns because I'm sure a lot of people just have their guns illegally. Uh,
Oh yeah, yes,
you know,
yeah.
but
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I totally get that.
yeah, but I don't.
You can pass all
Again,
the
I don't
laws you
care.
want and outlaw every the people. Yeah, if people want a gun, they're gonna get a gun, especially if you're a piece of crap criminal. I did not think we
And
would be talking about like gun control, huh? This is great.
well, I had another question here that goes with that. Do you think the world's gonna end soon?
Oh, geez, Lorenzo. I mean, probably given my health and my habits, for me and my age, fairly soon.
Well, I don't
But in
mean
general,
yeah, in general. I don't mean your world. I mean like
I
the
know
whole
you meant
world in
yeah,
general.
but I guess it's one and the same, right?
Well, for
Uh,
me or you, it's one and the same because I'm pretty unhealthy too. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna make it.
I mean, I do. Yeah, hell, I'm worried about many things like the state of the country and the way we all hate each other and all that good stuff. I mean, it does. As I have children, and sometimes I'm like, oh, geez, why would anybody want to bring children into this world?
Oh, I
Whether
know
I
that
don't know if I
exact
go
feeling.
so far ahead, and is there going to be an apocalypse, or I don't know. It seems like I don't know. Everything's dark. That's why I like losing myself in the Dabbleverse and laughing.
Yeah. Do you think? I know you said like you were raised Irish Catholic. Do you think there's a possibility for like a biblical type of apocalypse?
I no. To me, it's like ghosts. It's like I don't know if I believe in any of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe in God and what it says in the Bible and all that kind of stuff. It seems a little fictional at this point to me. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but you probably
Hopefully I
had
am.
that.
If there is a heaven, I'd like to go there. But I don't is there well, I don't I think there's a nuclear war, civil war, all those things could happen before biblical apocalypse.
Hmm.
I'm a realist, I guess. I'm more grounded. I like nonfiction.
Yeah, and or how about aliens? Do you think aliens will visit us before?
Well,
Sure.
I would have said I don't believe in that either. Although, like the last couple of months, our federal government has been releasing all these images of UFOs. So now I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on all this. But in general, I'm. It's never. I've never given that kind of stuff second thought. It's never really interested me, unless Alien, like the movie Alien, that
Hmm.
franchise particularly. Predator, not so much.
Yeah, you're more up on the actually what kind of affects you. More real. You said more realistically in the world.
I'm just not that imaginative. Maybe I'm more closed minded than I like to think.
Or maybe you just have your worries elsewhere than like aliens. I don't care. Like
True.
yeah, like I got other shit to deal with, like paying the bills and fucking
Right.
taking care of my
There's
kids.
so many other dangers right in front of my face as opposed to some thing we've never
Y-
seen.
Yeah, something far out. Yeah,
Ghosts
especially
too. I hate like the whole ghost hunter thing.
oh yeah,
The fact that
ghosts.
ghost hunting's taking over. I mean, locally where I live, a lot of the businesses try to it basically use ghosts. Our place is haunted. It's a whole marketing thing, and it drives me nuts.
No, I'm not a fan. I mean, I like the movie Ghost
I
with
don't like
that.
no. I don't
You
like
don't
that
even like
movie.
the movie
No,
Ghost?
not even the movie. And it's not because
Oh
of
my
Whoopi Goldberg. I
god.
just don't like the whole concept of it. I was never a big
I
Patrick
loved
Swayze
it.
fan other than
Dude,
Roadhouse.
no, Patrick Swayze was perfect in it. I think it's Do you remember when they used to sell movies at McDonald's? I remember
No.
we bought Ghost at McDonald's. They were selling certain VHS tapes there through the drive-through. I remember
Wow, really?
we
That
yeah,
never
yeah.
happened where I am.
Yeah, it was weird, and I remember it was, like, particular films, like, I think Ghost was one of those movies where it was rated, like, for everyone, like, rated G, but it had, like, murder, death, blood, and guns and all that, kinda like, Urban Cowboy, that John Travolta movie,
That is
how
random. From
how
Ghost to
it's
Urban Cowboy.
well, because that one is rated G also, but it shows, like, him having a threesome with 2 chicks and their tits are just out. You know what I'm talking about? Back in the day when the ratings were so
Well,
weird
definitely,
where
yeah, like Jaws, the fact that Jaws is a PG movie would never be that today. Yeah, the 70s were much more liberal times, I guess, in terms of the ratings.
yeah, they
Bad News Bears. Have you ever seen the Bad News Bears? The first, I mean, that would be an R today, and it's a
No.
kids movie essentially.
No, I've never seen it. I've heard of it,
Oh,
but I've never
it's
seen it.
good. I mean, it's your basic. Every movie has copied it. You know, it's the ragtag baseball team, but they're coached by Walter Matthau, and Matthau is an alcoholic. Like he's coaching the kids, he's drinking and driving. Literally, you know, he's got beer with him at all time. The kids say all racist stuff. It's all just the language is terrible. It's a very good movie though. The ending is so 70s. I won't spoil it for you, but 70s movies are the best, man. I mean, Rocky lost at the end of the first Rocky. If you think about that, he lost at the end.
That's crazy.
I wish movies were more like that.
Well, that's so, like, well, I wouldn't say unoriginal, it's so, unique, like, you expect the good guy to win, and then he loses, and it's like, "Oh, but we still love him," you know? It
And the
was
message, yeah, the message of the movie is like, yeah, he lost the big fight, but he had Adrian, he had something, it wasn't what he wanted, but I don't know. Maybe I'm butchering the message of Rocky, but that poster was big to me growing up too. His whole life was 1,000,000 to 1 shot. Rocky. I'm getting chills thinking about it. And I'm not Italian.
Yeah, Rocky's fucking good.
The first Rocky is a masterpiece.
Mhm.
I mean, the other ones are kind of, I'm a little, I don't know, I'm not a big fan, but that first one is just incredible.
Yeah, I no, you're right. Definitely every other one's hit and miss, and then you start going into the Creed movies, and it's like, whatever.
I've never watched the Creed movies. I can't, I mean, they've gotten decent reviews, but I just can't give them a chance because it's just recycling my childhood, which so much
Hmm.
of media is these days. TV, streaming, movies, they're just recycling. They're just selling our nostalgia. I don't appreciate it. The
I've always
Star Wars
said,
films being the
uh,
biggest
I've
example.
I've never seen any Star Wars film. I know I was talking to Tony from Hack the Movies, and I had mentioned that I'd never seen a Star Wars film, and he's like, "I will send you these particular ones that uh they don't have like the additions that George Lucas added.
Oh,
They're
okay,
like,
the original
you
like
know,
theatrical cuts.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah. He's like, I will send you these, and you have to watch those because the added ones are bullshit. Like,
they throw in
don't
some. Yeah,
watch those.
they make fine scenes a little awkward. It's bizarre, but I wonder. I know a couple of people who like never saw the original Star Wars, and seeing a 1977 film. I don't know. I'd be interested to see if it holds up for you. People that I've talked to that haven't seen them and then see them in adulthood, they're like, "What? This is." Because so much of it has been recycled in everything from
Hmm.
video games to television shows, and I don't know if it'll hold up for you. You might just
Yeah,
think it's
you'll be like, I've seen them before. That's just like that, but that actually
that's the
came
origin.
probably
And
from
even
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars rips off 1,000 movies before it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to see. It's a touchstone of a generation. So, I mean, I'm not a wacko Star Wars fans. I like Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. I thought The Mandalorian was fine. I thought Rogue One was fine, and everything else I can take or leave it.
And I know, I've always said, I've always said I will buy a gun once they remake Back to the Future, just so I can blow my own brains out.
Is
Because I
that like your number
like,
one movie? I know a lot of
yeah,
people like.
I don't say it's my number one movie, but that's the kind of movie that, like, why are you gonna remake it? I think it was perfect as far as it being imperfect. You know, it is kind of like, oh, the time travel makes no sense or whatever. But it just, how are you gonna remake a movie like that everyone loves pretty much universally? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I've read stuff saying that script is considered a perfect script. Actually, I the guy that used to be on our podcast before he quit because he hated me. He would talk about that, like it's considered, like they teach that, I guess, in film school as the perfect script. But I'm like, I don't know. That's again, I saw it in the movie theater, and it was a big deal. But it's not one I know. And then this is an unpopular opinion, but I saw it once and maybe twice, and I thought, okay, fine.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I'm into weirder, darker movies, I guess.
Yeah, it didn't change you or motivate you like, oh, I'm gonna try to
Not at all.
travel back in time or
No.
whatever the message is.
It made me want to see like horror movies at that period.
Yeah. Remember, why is a piece of paper blank? Your future's never written. Change your
All
own
right.
future or some bullshit. But yeah, no. Thanks for being here. I think the last questions I had, we ran out of time. Are you more like on the side of Germans or the Chinese? But I think we can.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah,
Like you
we could
talking
skip.
what year? Currently?
I mean, I was thinking more World War II, but we're out of time. So yeah, I want to thank you for.
Sorry. I have a soundboard.
No, thank you so much for dealing with my technical issues at the beginning.
Not a problem at all. Just
Uh,
I'm glad they weren't mine because I would
yeah.
have an anxiety attack. No,
I'll
I love
stay.
you, Lorenzo. Thank you so much for having me on. And I did invite myself, which makes this even more special for me.
No, yeah, it was great, man. I enjoy working with you when I do get a chance to, and definitely do some more. If you want to plug your stuff, where everyone can find you.
Oh, Insufferable Bastards podcast on YouTube, patreon.com, Ray DeVito.
Perfect. No, I appreciate you and what you do, and yeah, I'm sure we'll be working together. For many other times in the foreseeable future. I'm sure.
Say hi to Cardiff.
All right. Thanks, man. Take
Bye,
care.
Lorenzo.
Bye.